Takamura was going absolutely crazy during the JAA invasion, and it really shows. The GOAT really pulled up, one-tapped the guards, instantly headed for Gaku, and cooked him so badly that he started running away. So let's talk about how crazy this invasion really was. Before we get into Takamura pulling up to Aura Farm, we have to take a look at some context for the invasion itself. So to start off, we have Uzuki and Gaku showing up to the Kanto branch of the JAA on a bike. This guard asks the two for their IDs to see if they can enter, but Uzuki doesn't have one and neither does Gaku, so the guard pulls a gun on them. Uzuki and Gaku just continue their conversation though, talking about how Uzuki doesn't really like the way his photo came out before Gaku just hollow purples the guard. The two continue on their way into the base with Uzuki talking about how nervous he is before he nicely reminds Gaku to not be nervous. As they make their way through the lobby, two guards give them a really stern warning only to have their heads taken off by Gaku. Uzuki then pulls a classic school presentation move and tells Gaku to handle the rest by himself, imparting the very crucial piece of info that the bathrooms are on every other floor. Gaku is pretty chill with it though, before we cut to an office on the 3rd floor and hear a big security warning telling all combatants to pull up to the 1st floor, while everyone else is to go to a shelter. The JA employees hear that there are only 2 intruders though, so they think nothing of the warning, instead choosing to continue their work. Unfortunately, as this guy says this, he jinxes everyone, as another employee is literally flung across the hallway, and all the employees all turn their heads just to face Gaku, who instantly runs into the room and cooks all of them. Gaku nonchalantly says awesome before announcing that he has to go to the bathroom, but just as he steps out of the door, he's met with a barrage of bullets. The squad leader guy counts down from 3 and then tells his men to stop firing, and as soon as the bullets stop, Gaku flies by and takes out all 4 of the guards, with the squad leader realizing that he should have stayed home. Luckily for him, Mr. Inoda flies through a wall and punches Gaku, telling Takabe, the squad leader, that he's setting a bad example for the new recruits. We then get the stat that Gaku has presumably killed 40 people in the first 2 minutes of invasion, before Gaku fires a laser directly into Inoda's face and then zips up his pants. Right after this, Gaku blitzes Inoda and hits him so hard he has the man bouncing off concrete. Meanwhile, you have this group of employees talking about the noise before an elevator opens, revealing Uzuki. 3 of the employees panic, but one of them stays calm as he pops 3 shots in the back of their heads. As it turns out, this employee is Uda, and he is a spy planted by Uzuki. The two have a little reunion as Uda's been gone for about a year, before we cut back down to the ground level of the base where a taxi drops someone off. 2 guards at the entrance tell this person to back off, before instantly being cut to pieces by the GOAT Takamura. Back in the building, Gaku suddenly stops moving as he notices a heavy presence down the hallway, with that presence, of course, being Takamura. Takamura slowly walks towards Gaku, and as Gaku notices how Takamura actually scares him, he flies in with an overhead swing, only to realize that Takamura blocked it with only one hand on his sword. As Gaku notices this, Takamura brings his other hand up and unsheathes his sword, cutting the entire room in half and taking off 2 of Gaku's fingers and 1 of his ears. Gaku falls back for a second before going back for another swing, only to have his mace cut in half. My king stays nonchalant though, before Takamura then swings his sword again, unleashing a slash that cuts through the other side of the building. Just then, Uda and Uzuki notice this, with Uzuki instantly realizing that the ghost of the JA is still alive. Before they can move further though, Sakamoto, Shin, and Apart swing through a window and confront the 2 of them. Sakamoto instantly recognizes Uzuki and proceeds to ask him 2 pretty reasonable questions. Uzuki loves to gatekeep though, so he calls Sakamoto a yapper and then stabs him in the chest. Sakamoto tries to counter with a punch, but Uzuki dodges while Uda holds Shin at gunpoint. Shin is thankfully saved by Apart, but then Uzuki pulls up and cuts off Apart's arm while Uda attempts to stab Shin. Sakamoto kicks Uda away while throwing both Shin and Apart to the side, telling them that he will handle this. Uzuki continues to prod at Sakamoto, telling him that it really is true that he never knows when it's his time to die. Despite this, Sakamoto doesn't really do much, so Uzuki continues to try and get Sakamoto to really fight him, even telling Uda that he can have some time off so Uzuki can take care of things. Finally, Sakamoto starts attacking again, but Uzuki casually dodges his attacks and counters before Sakamoto can even use his weapons. After this, Uzuki talks about his school days and how he used to be so mid, but then he had an epiphany and is now like super strong. Shin rushes in to try and help, but Uzuki blitzes him and prepares to snap his neck, but Sakamoto swoops in to save both him and Depart. Uzuki sees this and tells Sakamoto that the only way they can make it out alive is if Sakamoto fights him with the full intent to kill, but Sakamoto says that he's not an assassin anymore. So, Uzuki says that someone else is gonna die if Sakamoto doesn't go all out and threatens his daughter, which finally gets Sakamoto to fully lock in and unleash his bloodlust. Now, this is where the anime really helps to amplify the manga. You see, in the manga, we get this panel of Sakamoto's bloodlust, followed by Sakamoto throwing a single punch that Uzuki still dodges before Gaku pulls up. And that's literally the whole thing. In the anime, we get this extended fight sequence that actually looks pretty good, and Sakamoto even manages to land a few hits on Uzuki, and even if they don't do a ton of damage, they're still hits that he did not have in the manga. However, the result is the same, and as Sakamoto rushes in for a big punch, Uzuki dodges and Shin yells out, snapping Sakamoto back to his usual self, before Gaku comes flying through a wall, clearly disturbed by Takamura. Just as Gaku complains about Takamura, everyone pauses as a sword cuts through a door and pushes down on the handle from the other side, revealing Takamura. Uzuki sees the king of aura farming and orders Uda to instantly take care of him, so Uda fires a few shots that Takamura casually blocks before Uda runs up behind him. Unfortunately, Uda gets no diffed by Takamura as he loses his trigger finger and then gets stabbed in the throat, taking him out of the fight. Gaku pulls up to avenge him, twirling what's left of his mace, only for Takamura to blitz him too and cut off his arm. Gaku stays nonchalant though, saying that he doesn't need his arm before kicking it back at Takamura with enough force to actually push him back and crack his katana. Gaku sees this and gets a little encouraged, running at Takamura with one arm while the latter prepares to swing again. Luckily for Gaku, Uzuki decides that it's time to leave and pulls him back before Takamura can cut him in half, resulting in the entire floor being cut in half instead. Gaku tries to get Uzuki to kill everyone and really show off his power, but Uzuki declines, instead deciding to just run away. Sakamoto jumps in front of them and tries to keep them from running, and the two have this heated exchange, resulting in Sakamoto getting cooked again before Takamura appears on the railing behind Uzuki, getting ready to cut him in half. Thankfully for Uzuki, the goat Uda comes in clutch as he grabs Takamura while pulling on his tie, triggering a bomb that was planted in his body and blowing up the entire floor. In the aftermath of the battle, Sakamoto and Shin realize that Uzuki is just looming over them and mumbling menacingly before Gaku snaps him back to reality and gets him to leave, ending the invasion. So overall, this one fight really put Takamura on the map for me. He dropped a generational performance, leaving a lasting impression on Uzuki, Gaku, and the entire Sakamoto Days fandom. And for the anime onlys watching, just know Takamura only gets better from here. But if you want to hear more about Takamura and more of the things he does in the manga, you should totally check out this other Takamura video here.